Hey everyone, it's Tina Brigley, and I'm here with Rob Jolles. And before we started recording, the biggest insight of my life just happened, and I wanted to share with you. I think we can all relate to this. You're climbing the ladder of success. You're achieving everything that you want. The rungs are just going higher and higher. And then you think what you're chasing is the money, is the success. And you realize all of that is sacrificing the one thing that's really important. Those quiet moments where your kids are having birthday parties, where your wife wants you home, the little simple things in life. And Rob has an incredible story of the chase that I think we're all on, that success mountain. But what happens when you get to the top of the rung and you realize, is this really it? And why am I chasing this? And can this actually be an addiction? So, Rob, thank you for being here. Share with us that moment of breakdown. And we're going to go back and like all the success and everything. But what was the aha moment where you realized, shit, I've been chasing something, success, but it's actually become an addiction. And this doesn't actually work for me anymore.
Yeah, well, that's why if we're blessed, we have somebody else in our life who keeps an eye on us. And so I'd love to tell you how an acorn hit me in the head and I figured it all out, but I didn't figure it all out. I quite frankly liked the limo showing up at my doorstep. I liked the nice meals in the hotel rooms. I liked being treated real well and when I walked into a room. It was my wife, actually, who brought me out back after one of my many trips. And let me know that this marriage wasn't going to continue this way. And I actually really thought I had the perfect marriage. I had no clue because I kept chasing the dollars and loved the perks that came with it. But when I wasn't on the road, I was at the bus stop with my kids. And these are little addiction pieces talking, by the way. What we do is we con ourselves. We make ourselves believe it's okay. So what happens, we could be out 4 of the 5 nights a week, but on the fifth night, we're at the bus stop. So look what a great dad I am. And oh, by the way, I'm going to take my wife out to dinner that night too at a nice restaurant because we did good this week. But these are all parts of the addiction to me. And it's almost like like death in a sense of we go through denial and anger and acceptance. I mean, we start following a pattern. But it was my wife who woke me up and said, "You are missing it." I remember the words.
Wow. So take us back a little bit because, yeah, sometimes it takes a rock, it takes a spouse to be like, yeah, this 9 marriage might be 9 for you. You get to spend 1 day with me, but I'm home alone 6 days and that doesn't work for me. First of all, incredible courage to be able to speak your truth. I think a lot of women are like, well, they get sucked up in the addiction too.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that you were away 247 nights. Like a third, two thirds was actually on the road.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Go ahead.
what was tell us how you got to the addictive. Like what was so appealing? Like tell us what you were doing. What was your
Mm.
life like? Because
Oh, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. If you didn't have 3 kids and a wife and responsibilities at home, I'm a professional speaker. I write books. My dream came true. I was an insurance salesman for the New York Life Insurance Company, and I saw a trainer teaching us, and then get stuck one day, and the phone rang, and they called. I picked up the phone. They said, "Can you get up and do something for this room?" Well, I had done some acting and things like that in my life, but I was raised by a Marine. We weren't going to have an actor in the family, according to him. But all of a sudden, I got sort of an acting fix. So I changed my direction. I pivoted. I wanted to be a corporate trainer, and I was. I was good at it. And then they promoted me, and I was good at it. And then they put me on the road, and I was really good at that. And they said, "You're so good at it. The clients love you. We're going to double the amount of time you're on the road." And it was a performance high. I was making more money than I ever thought I'd make in my life, particularly when I left Xerox and went on my own. But it's a blindness. I will tell you one thing though. I remember, and I'm going to jump your question a little bit. I remember when I knew I had it. I remember I was waiting for a flight one time and I had made some changes. My wife, we were starting to go a certain number of nights a year, certain number of nights a month. And I was waiting on a plane and my plane canceled. And they put us on another plane and they had a wait list. And we road warriors, I already know it could be 300 people there. I'm one, two, or three on that list. And I went up and I said, "What number am I?" The woman looked down. She said, "You're 32." Was a, I almost get choked up talking about it. It was a big moment for me because for me at that moment, I realized I was winning, meaning I don't want to be number one, two, or three on that list. That comes with a horrific price. So all of a sudden I realized, okay, I'm starting to get a hold of this. I know I'm moving around on your question, but
No, it's a
there's the moments where your wife tells you what she needs to hear. And there's another, I know I'm talking a lot on this, but I got to tell you one other thing. It's a blind spot, and I think your audience needs to hear this. The road warrior, and I don't want to make this men or women because I interview a lot of women who are on the road, but
Mhm.
for me, it is, we think we were waiting for a plane and that one got delayed. Then we hustle for a Uber and we do this and we go into the room and the room isn't right. We can tell you all these stories about how tough our week was. And then the crowd wasn't very nice and the plane was late coming home. You can't imagine the week I had. What we don't know, and as simple as this sounds, I had no clue for decades that coincidentally, my wife was having a hard week too. See, when I would come home and she'd say, "I had a really hard week," I'd go, "You got to be kidding me. You don't know. What do you hear about mine?" What I didn't never connected was her work doubled. Everything doubled that week. She had no partner. She had no help. So, of course, her week was as difficult as mine, if not more difficult. But we road warriors, we don't see that. We just see what's in front of us. So I know I'm moving around on you a little bit, but there's a lot to this question.
Well, no, because I think it's actually really valid because there are a lot of people that are in the same spot that are trying to, I don't like the word balance because balance is kind of equal. Sometimes it's not when you're an entrepreneur, when you're in business, you can't put equal time into everything, your business, your family, your wife, your relationships. And we're trying to find this thing called balance, which I don't actually believe it exists. But you get to the point where it's these little moments that come, I believe, people, situations, and circumstances come on your path to show you something.
Yes.
Whether we're listening or we're not, they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep showing us, shining the light on something that needs to be transformed or needs to be seen. So we get attached to the success, the performance, the look at me, the accolades, the external validation. Meanwhile, um, we have this family, we have these commitments, we have these other values that are competing. And then we're put in this position where how do I have my cake and eat it too? How do I honor my family? If that is, and I believe if it's truly a value, some people say they value family, but when you look at their actions when, they're on the road 247 nights, they're like, wait a minute, let me look. Is this really a value? Because I think that's where the discrepancy comes from, right? When we're actually believing I do value family and I'm seeing that I'm sacrificing my family. That's the only way we can make those changes is if we're real with ourselves. And I think there are some people that say they value it, but they don't. They value the performance. They
Yeah.
value the perks.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we just got to be real with it. Now, I'm curious, right? Because there are some people that are like, okay, well, did you sacrifice what you wanted? Because you said I had everything that I ever got. How did you? I mean, I'm sure there was a big mess that you had to clean up and you had to decide. Because I know for me, I was like, I don't really value my relationship as much as making a difference in the world. My husband wasn't completely on board and we ended up getting a divorce and I had to say, I love you, but I actually know that you can't help elevate me to the next level because I want to make a really big impact. What did you choose? What happened?
Yeah. Because it's a tough choice. It's interesting that you said what you said. Um, I made the choice to struggle more. In other words, in my line of work, more often I'm out, the more often I'm seen, the more often I'm booked. It's a machine. It's a
Mhm.
machine, particularly when you're an entrepreneur and not working for a big corporation now. I made the choice to go the harder route, and I knew it. And that's what held me back a little bit because I wanted to take care of our financial future. I wanted to get us on the easy street. And I realized if I, for the lack of a better word, hobble my career, basically limit my career, I'll have to fight and struggle for gigs. I'll have to, we won't be able to do everything we want. We may not get that beach home that we were talking about. We'll just rent one for a few weeks. Uh, but you have to be okay with that. But I'll tell you what, Tina, uh, what made me smile and go, I'm okay with it, is seeing the guys that I was on the circuit with who were at the same level as me. We meet in the green room. I had dinner with these professional speakers, hang out together. Uh, I saw them a year or two later, and one by one, I started seeing the broken blood vessels in the nose. That's from the alcohol. Started hearing about the townhouses that they were moved into. That's the divorce. Uh, and so they were giving up things they did not want to give up. You made that move consciously. These people were blindsided, caught blindsided because
Mm.
they fell for that addiction. But I want people to understand that it's funny you said, about the balance issue. It's not a fairy tale. When you do this, it's not only difficult mentally, you have to be prepared to say, I won't be the biggest big shot here.
Mhm.
I got to be okay with being not getting that stardom that I was looking for. I'll just be real good at what I do and I'll just fight and scrap
Mm.
and we'll do it this way. But I got three kids that are now in their 30s functioning very well. Great relationship. We've had beach trips for over 30 years now to Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, and every single one of them shows up. And I'm very proud of that. That's our report card in terms of how functional or dysfunctional a family can be.
Right, and you used a term, unconscious incompetent. Now hearing your story, jet setting, doing the speaking circuit, what do you mean by unconscious incompetent? Because I believe most of the world is actually very unconscious. We're chasing these things to fill some sort of need in us, but when we start seeing the truth, you can't hide from yourself. You can't hide from the things that you're actually running away from. So tell us more about what you meant by
Yeah.
unconscious incompetent, because I thought that was a brilliant,
Well, I'd
like,
love to take credit for it, but Wilson Learning claims that they created this model. Xerox claimed they created the model. So when I wrote my first book, I claimed I created it, but I made a small change. So that's how we authors kind of pull this off. We're in, at any given time, we're in one of four areas. We might be unconsciously incompetent, meaning we don't know what we don't know sometimes. Okay. Then sometimes when my wife took me out on the porch and had this conversation, rather quickly I became consciously incompetent. Now I know that I'm not
mm,
doing this the right way. Okay. And
mhm,
then I began to systematically, almost like a scientist, try and figure out how many nights are okay. How do I spread the nights out? What if I do this? So now I'm becoming what's called consciously competent. I'm getting better at it, but I'm thinking about it a lot. Okay.
yeah,
And then utopia, in a sense, is unconsciously competent, meaning we do want to be able to make changes in our lives where they become more natural and we're not thinking about it all the time. And so it's almost like a golf swing. It's just, I'm starting to really develop my swing now. But I tell you, the only change I made to that model, and like I said, it's a model that's been out in the training world, is I decided it's not four steps of conscious behavior. It's actually a cycle, meaning whenever we get unconsciously competent, the next step, a week, a month, a year, whenever, we'll be unconscious incompetency and we won't know we're even there. It's like when you've made certain promises in business, you know what I mean? You
yeah,
learned it, you got good at it, and then about a year later, you went, whatever happened to? Okay. You cycle, you cycle. That's why you have family and friends keep an eye on you because you won't know when you cycle to that unconscious incompetency again.
Oh, I love that. I know for me, I did a lot of things, chasing the success, chasing the money, chasing the accolades, doing all of these things, and then one day I just woke up and I'm like, "What am I actually chasing? What am I doing all of this for?" I'm, you know, divorced now, which I don't regret, because I have a really great person in my life, that is my person. Um, but we have all of these realizations, I think, where we realize, what is important? What is actually important to me? And I know, like, the last couple months, every time I opened up social media, I had this visceral fact, like, I don't wanna be a part of this. I don't actually want to be part of this dog and pony show, chasing an algorithm. I know I wanna make a difference in the world, but I don't think it looks like this for me. And then I was afraid of, but what will people think? How will people feel? Like, if I go from all of this to, like, I'm dialing it back, and I had to realize, does it really matter? Does
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what matters? That wife that's waiting, the kids that are waiting, the the people that are closest to you. But how do we make that jump from following what we've been trained and programmed to do, to actually saying, "Wait a minute, maybe there's more to life than what we've been programmed and trained to do." And maybe slowing down is actually speeding up. Like, how do we people that are watching right now that are like, "Okay, I know that I've been doing this and it's made a good living. I'm in corporate, but my heart wants to be singing on stages. My heart wants to be doing art. My heart wants to be slowing down with my family and going on vacations." Like, how do I do that? How do I let go? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, I think we gotta get comfortable with a word that I've been using the last couple of years, which I really like now, and the word is pivot. I
Mm,
think we wanna keep hammering the word, "I gotta change, I gotta change." I don't know about change. I think we are who we are in a sense. I think pivot's a more comfortable word for me at this point, which means I'm not gonna now I speak for a living, but, I've been like you, I've become more comfortable podcasting and doing more virtual things. Um, that's a pivot for me in a sense, but I have to be comfortable with that and not afraid of change.
mm,
It's funny, I'm a sales trainer at heart. I've taught thousands and thousands of salespeople, but the biggest objection that customers have, and that's why, which is the NASA. I've trained Toyota, you name it. I've been there. They're all the same. They all deal with the same objection: fear of change. And
mm,
so I think what we've got to do is, and I keep talking about, we need a tribe around us. We need, you've got somebody that's got eyes on you now, okay, and maybe a couple friends. But we have to be comfortable with the fact that we don't do something for 40 years in our life and just keep doing it the same way. I still haven't met a profession or a person that's actually pulled off changing nothing, in their entire career. So it's just not if, it's when. And don't be so afraid of change, particularly if we're going to pivot in our space a little bit,
mm.
adjust our seating a little. I think that's I think that's kind of the key. Uh, and one other thing you mentioned about, you were talking about social media a little bit. Maybe we share something here. I am still uncomfortable, and I post a lot of things on LinkedIn like you do. I see a lot of people, they talk about very personal things on LinkedIn. It's almost Facebook-ish of, I met this person, I saved a whale, whatever it is. It's these amazing things, right? I'm mildly annoyed by it, although I do like whales, okay? But when we post, and I'm suggesting you remind yourself of this because I see your posts, we can post a lot. It won't be about how great I am. I'm posting to try and help my audience do better, think
Mm.
better, find a new thought, a new idea. And so I'm very comfortable posting a lot, but I would defy you to find posts where I'm talking about, look at me, I did a great thing today. I was on stage and everyone loved me. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, I'm not comfortable with that.
Yeah. It is very interesting because you and I have been in this space for a very long time. I see the changes, and I feel like I've come full circle from where I was 10 years ago. How I built my business was sharing stories and lessons in the stories. Um, and I got away from that. I started doing what the industry said you should be doing and post about this and post this way. And on Monday, post this. And on Tuesday, post this. And I was just like, who made up these rules? And why do I need to follow them? And who's the guru that's pulling the strings right now? And what if I can just do whatever the F I want and let go of the rest, like just be real. And so I think I was putting myself in a box for so long, trying to do it a certain way. And then I just got really tired and thinking, who is that person that's dictating my life right now? It's
Yeah.
the social media gods? I don't know, and this is why I like having these interviews. They're short. I know it's a little bit over. We're over 20 minutes, but just real raw conversations about how we got to where we are and the real things that we struggled with maybe in the past. And I know that there are people right now saying, I'm climbing that ladder and I don't want to get on that next rung. But what will people think? And how will I feel? And how do I pivot? And how do I step into my purpose? And I believe, and I don't know if you're the same way, but sometimes we need to tune out the noise and listen to our heart and follow that above all other voices. And I think we don't do that enough. We don't trust ourselves enough to fall, enough to grow, enough to lean into the pivot. And I love what you said about change. I say it all the time. I'm not changing. I might shift,
Right.
but like these patterns in me, they've been here my whole life. But I'm going to
Right.
notice, I'm going to become more conscious
Right.
until I hit my next level where now I'm unconscious. And then
Yeah.
I have to develop the
Yeah,
consciousness.
gotta keep an eye on it. I went to a party one time and I was offended, but I think you'll appreciate this. Uh, we were looking, these are guys I went to Boy Scouts with, okay? So these are very old relationships. And they went around the table. They said, Willie became a police officer. Buzz became a pilot. John became a cardiologist. They looked at me and they said, Rob became a professional Rob. And at first I was offended. I was like, wait a minute. And it went, but no, you found a way of being who we knew you always were and created a space for yourself. I think that you share that. I think that your path is you're becoming a professional you right now. And we don't have to put a name on it, We're not pilots. I know that. Okay. So but I've grown more comfortable with that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Oh man. Well, I could talk to you all day long. I've been on your podcast. You've been on my interview series. I just think you're an incredible human being. Besides what you do, who you are being inspires me every single day. Um, Tell us who you help, how you help them, where people can find you. If you're looking for guests, like just give us the rundown. Because if people want to follow you, learn more about you, how do they do that?
Yeah, and I won't brag.
You can.
JOLLES.com. That's one real easy way to find the whole bucket of me. And you'll see podcasts and what I call blarticles, things like that. I've got a show I started. I'm on my 85th show now. I've done over 800 podcasts, but it's a newer show called The Presentation Whisperer Show. And to our point, it's a final pivot for me as I begin to sort of extract myself from the road. Got a big birthday coming up. Uh, and begin to help others in the space that was so good to me.
Right.
So I'm really feeling good about that show. And so, but JOLLES.com, you can contact all that stuff is there.
Beautiful. I love that. What's the big birthday? What number?
Do
Dare I
I
ask?
have to tell you? All
Yeah?
right. Okay. I'm not ashamed. I'm going to be 70.
Shut the front door.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
freaking way.
Yeah.
0 come on. I was gonna be like, "Oh, man, I don't want to offend him by saying, 'Are you turning 50?' Because I'm turning 50." So 70?
Yes.
Man. Okay, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm, like, floored by that, first of all. And the fact that you're still willing to give so freely of yourself to so many people. help them learn from your experiences, and you're still swinging. I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you, for our friendship. I feel like it's a friendship now.
It's a friendship. Let's call it what it is. Yes.
Yeah,
We could
yeah,
do this
and
without the mic and the camera on, right? We could just have a conversation.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I love this, and if you're feeling inspired, if you're thinking about pivoting, one thing that I believe is there's 2 emotions we can live in, love and fear. And if we start living more in love and trusting that, like, love wins over any fear, it's okay. Live your life. Do what you want. Make your own rules. Pave your own path. And I promise you, if it's meant to be, it's gonna be. You're gonna learn the lesson, or you're gonna, I don't know, kick ass in life. What else can we say, right?
You're gonna learn your lesson, or you're gonna step back up, wipe your knees off, put one foot in front of the other, and keep going, right?
Keep going, just keep going. What is that? Finding Nemo Dory? Just keep swimming,
Keep
just don't say, "Just keep swimming." Okay, you guys, till next time, thank you, Rob, and thank you all for watching, and, we'll see you back in the next episode. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.